Good evening or good morning, everyone. Hello, Stephanie.
Hi. You're home.
I'm home, and you're home, and our homes are far apart,
Yeah.
but yay, it's good to be back. Um, Kind of overwhelming after being away for 2 and a bit months to be surrounded by all this tech again, but it's nice. How are you?
I am good. I've been feeling a bit under the weather the last few days. I don't know, there's something wrong with my stomach, but today I feel much better. Um, Still a little off, so I actually have like a heating pad on my tummy.
I was gonna say, I'm
Um,
sure mum or auntie has you on it, but you got to get that. Here we call it grandma liquid. It's like white flour oil, and you rub it on
oh,
your
the white,
belly, and
I
it gets really
have,
warm.
yeah, I have the green one. It's the Vietnamese version. It's like this, it's menthol. I don't know. Vietnamese, like people swear by it.
I
It's
think it's
kind of
the same
crazy,
thing.
but it's just one of those
It's an
things.
extract of white flour or something, but
The
it's
hubby just
just.
got home.
Hi, hubby. And
That
hi
says
to
hi.
everyone in the room. You need a haircut, Tim. So do I. Let us know, folks. Please just confirm that our audio and video is good. First time using this setup in a while, and actually my first time using the Z9 as my main camera. That's how we roll. Z9s as webcams on this channel. Today we're going to be looking at your abandoned theme photos, and we'll have the theme for next week is already announced. It is framing. So what I mean by that is where you choose your subject, so the image should have a clear subject, but where you've creatively framed it. So maybe you're shooting a flower and you use the blurred out flowers around it to frame up the picture, or you're taking a portrait and you find some interesting elements in the foreground or background that can create a frame. It could also be framed by the light patterns in the scene. So don't be shy, I'll have it a little bit broader, so as I'm going through, as long as you've renamed the file and it's along the lines of framing, we'll include it. Giving away a couple of downloads this week. Didn't really get much feedback from you guys about how you'd like to see the show reviewed, like kind of updated as we move forward. So today's pretty much going to be the same chit chat, reviewing your images, giving away some prizes, but I thought we could also just pop in and I'll mention two announcements that I actually covered during the week, but in case you missed them. So let's do that first, and then we'll do Steph and my catch up. So let's see if I can still work this software. So first of all, Sigma have announced for 3 new lenses for Fujifilm X mount. If you're a Fuji shooter, I think it's great news. They're literally less than half the price of the closest Fuji equivalents. Haven't got them in to test out yet, but I'm on a mission over the next month to try and meet and form a relationship with all of the distributors here in Hong Kong. They have good representation, so it's crazy that I'm not in touch and getting access to things when they come out. So we've got a 16mm f1.4, a 30mm f1.4, and a 56mm. I think Fuji has a 16, a 33, and their 56 is a 1.2. But they're all like 50 to 60% off. The bummer about it, if you're a Fujifilm shooter, these are kind of the plasticky, kind of rubberized housing rather than the metal feeling that you have on the Fuji ones. And a big bummer, they don't have the aperture ring, which so many of you have come to know and love on Fuji. And in the world of monster lenses, so keeping in mind that this is the tiny little 70 to 200 that Canon are making these days, they have just announced 800mm and 1200mm lenses at, hold your onto your chair, Steph, at $17,000 and $20,000 each. And I don't know what just happened. I think your picture just went all funny and you shrank to a little bobblehead. I'll fix that up. Oh, and I just did it again. I think it's because Skype must be, oh, now it's back to normal. Skype must be buffering your stream, so it reduces the size of the video because you just got smaller, then back to normal again. Anyway, so if you see Steph doing that, it's
I mean,
just her
maybe it's the
dubstep.
shock of the 17 and
Oh, that's kind of cool. It was like
$20,000.
you backed away. Interesting thing, I had a lot of comments, people saying that these are just the smaller lenses that have had 2x teleconverters. So it's like a 400 and a 600 that basically have high-tech built-in 2x teleconverter, which would explain the shape of them. But I'd like to see the full lens profile side by side to really see if it is just the 600mm with advanced, basically a built-in TC at the end. Because if so, that's hard to justify those kind of prices. Now let's jump back and see how messed up our pictures are. Looks pretty good. So, Stephanie, fam, what's good?
Yes.
Tell me some stories. What's new?
Some story. Oh, jeez, my phone's still on. Oh, professionalism. Let's see what's new besides this like weird stomach ache. Things have been good. Tomorrow, art school dropouts, we're going to do a table read of the next, I guess, feature film that we're working on. Joy was very adamant, like, hey, we should work on 2 features at the same time, and I'm like, oh dear lord. Yeah, let's talk
what's
about
he
it
been
first.
smoking?
And then we'll see. He's just very excited. That's the thing. And then I'm going to be scheduling. I have finally decided that I'm going to do a Patreon only chat on our Discord for all tiers first, and then I'll leave like the nitty gritty, like special behind the scenes conversations for like the higher tier. But I think I'm gonna just do them back to back. So I'm really excited about that because I haven't talked to a lot of our patrons in a very long time. So I
Cool.
just thought that this would be a lot better than what I used to do.
There's a podcast I follow that does a similar thing where they'll have their podcast is public, but then there's like 1 or 2 kind of juicy questions that are the same they ask their guest each week, and that's behind the paywall.
Yeah, honestly, it's usually a session where I just kind of vent about the industry, about all the crap that's going on, and yeah, it's like a venting session for me, but this time I'm more like, hey, everyone vent with me.
So
that's
it's
gonna
group
be fun
online
and
therapy
interesting to
now.
do. Yeah, in a way, because it's just the film industry is just so. I don't even want to get into it. I'm not going to get into it. I'm going to save it for the beginning of the month.
Okay,
Save it.
very good.
But yeah, so this month we released this short film that we had done last year, and that worked out really well. We had like a 360 behind the scenes for it. Rewatched that was crazy. And then this coming month we have like another mini web series coming out, which I'm super excited about because it wasn't supposed to be anything of quality. I guess it's one of those throwaway ideas, but then I made a stupid comment and Joy's like, oh my god, that's brilliant, and then it ended up being way bigger than we expected. So super excited for people to see that. Just to give you guys a hint,
Lovely.
it's basically a short film shot on a phone just to prove like, hey, you don't have to have fancy cameras to be a filmmaker. You could just use whatever is available to you. And it is called The Legend of the No Budget Zorro. So it is
Noro.
super fun. It's actually pretty good. But yeah, so
Cool.
that's pretty much all that's going on with me. But Matt, how does it feel to be back home with the cats, with the wifey, everything?
It's good. It's everything. I got back, so now is Saturday morning my time. I got back at like 1 a.m. Wednesday morning. Checked out at midnight. That's when you're allowed out. So it's good. It's been surprisingly cold. But other than, I mean, the being home part is all good. It's excellent. Got back to shooting yesterday, doing some stuff with the Canon R3 with Felicia. But yeah, it's been going great, and I'm in the process now. I've started interviewing for full-time videographers. Threw up the job ad in a couple of local proper job websites as well as on Facebook, and had absolutely zero helpful comments on Facebook. No surprise, just comments and critiques and jokes, and you should move here, you should move there, will you pay my relocation fees from here?
I mean, is it better than Craigslist at least?
I didn't have any serial killers apply that I'm aware of, so that's good. Craigslist is such an American thing. Just the word sounds dodgy, but nowhere else in the world. Well, actually, maybe they do. I think Japan has it, but it's not really popular anywhere else. But no, I got, I don't know, maybe 30 or 40 applications, and I've started interviewing. I'm going to be doing some trials with the promising people that I interview. So fingers crossed we'll have someone on full-time taking over all the filming and editing and freeing me up to do even more stuff. So that'll be good. Before we...
You should try this thing called Test Gorilla. So I had to, so basically I work for a brokerage remotely in New York, and we were looking to hire people, and my manager, we just so happened to stumble upon Test Gorilla, and it's great because they have these tests that you could, I guess, have applicants kind of complete, and it gives you like their personality type, like it's the whole
like Myers-Briggs, that kind of, okay.
Yeah, that thing, and it's pretty good. Like I was filling it out, and it's funny because I felt like this thing knew me more than I knew myself.
But is it helpful and accurate, or is it one of those like, oh man, reading the star sign of Pisces, that's totally me?
No, it's helpful because when we were actually like interviewing people, you know, some people, they can talk very, very well, but their attention to detail is poor. But you don't know that because of the interview. They could just be very good at selling themselves. So it was really interesting to like send this test to people and then see the results come back. 45 minutes.
Okay.
For people to take it. So I could send you the link afterwards, but I got ESTJ, the manager.
Oh.
And it makes sense.
The dictator.
Yeah. I'm very consistent. I'm consistent in both attention to detail and communication. I got 83% on both.
I was going to say, I may be consistent, but consistently low.
Hey, you don't know.
I already pulled it up.
Right?
I've done all those tests back in the day, but it could be fun still. Let's just sweep through the room and see who we've got. Mike with his snacks, welcome. Sean, Carlos, Charles, Yenra, Jay Hashri, JD, hi. Richard, nice to see you again. Ryzen, I'm sure I'm going to miss some people. AP Studios calling in from Connecticut, thanks for joining us. Adolfo from Lima, Peru. How are things in Lima? I'm dying to get back. Hopefully things are under control. Troy, David is glad to see some Fuji stuff, would like to see more. Me too, I am looking to do that. Ranger Ron, Thomas, nice to see you, Thomas, and Lath, Larry, hi everyone. Let us know where you are and what you're up to. And if you have any questions, then please use the hashtag so that we can spot them. I'm not sure if we have any moderators on today. And please do give your feedback on the images. We've got about 20 abandoned themed images to look through today. And, you know, I'm sure they would appreciate getting the room's feedback on the images, not just Steph's and mine. Now, I've got a call coming in. In terms of the theme of abandoned, what normally comes to mind is, you know, a derelict old house or something that hasn't been touched and it's run down. But there's actually kind of two definitions of abandoned that might be worth keeping in mind as we go in, see if it fits any of them. One is having been deserted or left, but the other is unrestrained or uninhibited, like dancing with abandon, that kind of thing. So I think most of them fall into the first category, but let's just have a cheeky little look and see what we've got. I'm just thrilled that so far we haven't had any technical nightmares that I can't resolve,
Don't
which
jinx it.
I don't believe in jinxing. Did that come up on your testing that you believe in all of that nonsense?
No, actually, that didn't come up.
Oh, good. Pete Aitkins. So we're looking at them by file name. So if you put abandoned at the start of your file name rather than your name, you'll be up front. So this tram certainly looks like it's been left. That's the case. Look, as a documentary type shot of what has gone on, having the two people there, I think, does kind of fill the frame nicely. You've got the blue netting on the right hand side, the kind of police tape on the left, and then the people do fill the frame up nicely. However, if it's a shot about the tram and you want to get that abandoned kind of atmosphere, then I think getting it without the people, because abandoned being having been deserted, it kind of puts it back to not feeling so abandoned. But having said that, I don't want every shot today to be, an old ghost house or something like that. So this has been abandoned, but in the middle of suburbia. So, I think it kind of works. But I feel like this is more of a documentary shot than a creative shot. Looking at the, the oil slick going into the water and the pattern in the water, I feel like there would be a cool shot just kind of framing down in on just the tram itself. I don't know how it will go with cropping. Is probably something needed to frame up at the time. But let's have a cheeky little look. See, now if you didn't have the people there, you could potentially keep in those, some of the surrounding stuff and have it come into something like that. So if you're imagining it without people, there could be something interesting in just here that gives it a totally different atmosphere once you take out the city in the background. What do you think, Steph?
I agree. I'm just confused. Is that a boat or like a train? Because why is it there?
Maybe it is a boat, but it's just made to look like a tram. Maybe it's a boat that hit the dock and then it's a bit topsy-turvy.
If it's a boat, I like the little sign to the left, keep boat forward of call marker, I think.
And this looks like maybe it has gone behind the call marker.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so that makes a lot more sense why it's there, being that it's a canal boat, not a derailed tram or something. Next one from John Dalston. That's very abandoned. Looking at the file, it looks like it's a super low res file, but it actually isn't. I think it maybe is just the treatment you've put on it. And it all is kind of blurry still. What's going on? F16.1. I think it's got a little bit of motion blur. I think you wanted to have as much grid in it as possible and maybe having the trees in the distance in focus. So you're at F16, but you're at 1/20th of a second. I think you've got a little bit of hand movement in the shot, unfortunately. I don't really love the treatment on it, although I can get why you're doing it. But having a huge depth of field, but then having a bit of motion blur, what would have been really detailed clods of dirt in the background is just kind of mush now. I think maybe going around and taking some different vantage points on the car, getting the trees off the left of frame might help it. What do you think, Steph? What would you make an offer on this car?
Oh gosh, no. Besides the distractions to the left, I think if it was in focus, it would look a lot better. But I actually do like the treatment just for the theme abandoned. It looks very post-apocalyptic, and like with the fog in the background and the skies and everything. Not a big fan of the little specks of artifacts, but I think it was just more in focus. I think that would better.
Yeah, I think it's more motion blur than like handshake than focus. But yes, if you're going to be shooting at f16 or something like that, make sure your sensor is free of dust because we're going to see it. Albert Sousa. Okay, so I think this one could do with about another half a stop of exposure. It's always difficult when you're shooting something big up close with a wide angle lens and pointing your lens up. You know, this is, I'm assuming, a level building, but having it fall away like that, it just kind of, it makes me feel like we're missing a lot of what could have been interesting. Like, the sky is just as much of the frame as the building, and then the trees don't add much, so the building is like 40% of the shot. Now, I kind of like the way that it divides the thing into 3 segments. If you tilt your head to the left, it kind of looks like a peace sign. But it probably would work better if you did it as a brighter black and white, so then, and then you could, you know, play with the blue channels so you could make that separation in the frame a little bit more pronounced. Yeah, on one hand, I feel like I'm not seeing enough of the building to get a sense of it. But on the other hand, if we're going to focus in on the textural details, I think you could come in much closer and actually get, you know, just some of the vine and decaying rocks and that kind of thing, rather than kind of going halfway on each. What do you think, Stephanie? Would you do a photo shoot there?
Honestly, I probably won't do a lot of photo shoots in these abandoned places. I think I'm past that now. I used to, like, I guess when I started modeling, but now I'm like, I'm too scared. I don't know if I would. I'll have to think about it.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of spider webs, I bet.
There's spiders in your house. Bob H. Ugh.
I don't see them.
Look at that mold
nope.
behind the wallpaper. Yuck. So what is it with, we've got a lot of shots today that are kind of going for grit, but kind of ending up look kind of short of detail. It feels like this one has had the, either using like a 1600 ASA film, or it's had the film slider, like the grain slider, dialed up to 100 on this. I don't know. I get where it's going, but I don't really feel like the framing's balanced. Maybe if you stepped in slightly to the right and then had the wallpaper on that's falling on the left, and then the wallpaper that's falling on the right with the 2 edges of frame, I don't feel that this triangle and square on the edge of frame are adding anything. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it needs something more. It's definitely an abandoned room. And I wouldn't want to put a model in there with black mold, but I do think it needs something more. It reminds me of one of my old apartments. Yeah, it reminds me of one of my apartments. Like with that kind of roof and yuck, ceiling, that kind of ceiling. But that one looks fairly bug-free, Steph. I think we've stayed in some Best Westerns about that standard in our travels. Just imagine if we had peeled back the wallpaper.
I guess. But I do like the editing on this. It kind of does feel like an abandoned, haunted place.
The theme is not haunted, Steph, because
I know,
ghosts aren't real.
But it's like, it's got abandoned, like, it's just... I feel like I'm going to say haunted a lot for these photos.
Okay. Folks, send in your questions. We'll look at 2 more images and then come back and take a look at them once and give Steph a break from the heebie-jeebs. Oh, look at the ghosts in this one. Gracious. Chady Webb. So I think this really has potential, but I think you're shooting it at the wrong time of day. If you shot this when either you had the sun lower and potentially coming through the tree on the left, shining light in, or when the sun was lower in the sky on the other side of the building, so then the inside and outside were a little bit more balanced. And is it just me? The white balance also looks kind of off as well. It's maybe not. I don't think the shooting details are here. So you were at f9 a thousandth of a second and ISO 1250. So I would suggest you could have shot this at an 80th of a second easily and brought your ISO all the way down. Or do step your aperture up a little bit so then we can have some more detail. And actually this is one where having the flaking paint right up front on the right here, all the way through to that graffiti on the wall in the background is interesting. So this might actually be one to do focus bracketing and then stitch it together to make an image that's got focus all the way through the shot. What do you think, Steph? This looks like the kind of place I would get a nail in my foot.
Oh, God. How is your foot, by the way?
It's good, but it's weird. I had on my right top ball of my foot, I had like, I don't know, something kind of painful for like a month. I don't know if it was like the start of a corner, if I had a little splinter in there or something. It didn't like hurt all the time, but if you stepped on it in just the right way, it hurt. Then on my left foot, near the heel, that's where I got the nail. And lo and behold, as I thought, now the other one's going to get worse because I'm putting more weight onto the right foot. But now that whatever that was up the top has gone, maybe because I was in quarantine hardly doing any walking, and now my left one with the nail has healed, but in almost exactly the same spot as the nail went in on the other foot, I now have this weird hard sore lump that's just come out of nowhere that I have no idea what it is. Is it like one side of my body is feeling sorry for the other and kind of, phantom limbing or something like that? But it's actually the other foot where I didn't get a nail is now more sore, and in the same spot, which I just can't get my head around, so I don't know why that is.
That is so weird.
So basically,
did you go to the doctors yet?
Well, I can't because you have to wait until you're out of quarantine at least 7 days before you go and do those kind of things. But we will.
Damn.
Yes, but it's not like I'm sitting here in pain. Just if you're walking and you step on a rock just on that part of your shoe, then it hurts a little bit. But it's fine.
Yeah, but still, you don't want anything in your foot.
No, I don't.
No.
Especially nails. Yeah, I just think of that as like extreme acupuncture. So whatever heart chakra or reflexology, whatever, something, that's just fixed something for life now that I've had that properly punctured. Maybe? No? Okay, moving on.
Sure.
What do you think of this one, Steph? Darren Melrose.
Oh, actually, I like this. I like the lighting on her. It does feel very abandoned because of this, the location. I would hate to be there because it also looks like it's haunted.
You're not just playing to that Asian woman, The Ring stereotype where any Asian woman in a scary building is a ghost? Okay.
If you took her away, I would still say the place is haunted.
The overall atmosphere is really nice, and I like that looks like there's a beaker or something here in the front. It does make me think, how did he shoot this? Because this looks like a reflection. Now, it's probably just shooting through a window onto her. But what do you think about how pristine her hair, outfit, makeup, and the lighting on her is? That could be the only thing that the lighting just doesn't match the scene at all. So the scene has tiny bits of window light coming from camera right, but then she's been lit just in a little isolation. I kind of feel like this, you could take it to the next level by maybe setting up your lights outside the window and having her lit by the window light, something like that, so that it all appears in scene.
I don't know, I like it. I think the styling with the blouse too, the color, it just draws your eyes towards her.
Pick.
And I don't know. Oh wait, yeah, pick, damn it.
Were there any of the previous ones you wanted to pick? You often forget for the first few and then go on a pick fiesta.
I think I'm okay. I'll
Okay.
review them later.
Okay, very good.
Just in case.
So let's jump back and see if we've had some questions. Now, Yobo is online, so let's see if I've had any sent through. Thomas Haynes, after saving up for 2 years, I was finally able to order the A7 IV that I wanted this morning. Sorry, it's not a Nikon. That's awesome, Thomas. Congratulations. I know you've been, I don't want to overshare, but I know you've been working hard to get to that point, so that's great news. The 7 IV looks like an awesome camera. Knowing the kind of work you do for your group and everything, I'm sure it'll be a great match for you. So please don't apologize anything to do with Nikon. I'm not a shareholder. I'm not part of the R&D team, and I genuinely don't care what people shoot with, and I know you will make great use of that, so congrats. That's great to hear. Troy Graham, is the Fujifilm, lots of Fs, Fujifilm FinePix Pro a good first Fujifilm? It will take my Nikon lenses. Sorry, mate. Which one is that? Is that like one of the old CCD DSLR cameras that you mean? There's Fujifilm FinePix Pro is like SanDisk SD cards. The Extreme Pro, every year there's a different Extreme Pro, and what it is, it really depends which one you're talking about. So I don't exactly know what that camera is. If it is the old DSLR that I'm thinking of, you know, someone in the room just bought a D700, they mentioned. Those cameras are just as good as they ever were, and this will be fine, great to learn on. If you're looking for a first camera that will take your Nikon lenses, it could be a great choice for you. I did a video a little while ago where I mentioned something about, you know, people saying the camera is completely unimportant. They do miss the point. On one hand, yes, you can get great shots with any camera, and yes, the D700 or the FinePix Pro are just as good as the day they were made. But if you do compare it to a modern camera, it becomes really apparent how far things have come, and maybe you don't need all that extra tech. But as I go through and update the members library for learn.artnoonportraiture.com, I'm reviewing files that I shot 10 or 12 years ago, and also ones that I shot last week from phase one, every different Nikon. And when I look at the shots taken with my D700, they're not bad, but I can clearly tell that they were taken with a 10-year-old camera. It's just, you don't have the same kind of file integrity, and the optics simply aren't as good as the new stuff that I'm using. So to answer your question, yes. Richard Wintle, were the cats happy to see you home, or did they do that meh, there's a human cat thing? Tyson is the little grey tabby, which is kind of more my wife's cat. For the first 2 days, just actively avoided me, but last night was really sweet, and then this morning was walking on my desk and like giving me the kind of pats that I normally get once a month. So I think she's finally accepted that I'm home. But Loki, from the minute I walked in the door, she walked over and stood up and requested to be held. And every night I get woken up a couple of times as she walks across my legs, up my chest, and then head bumps my face to, you know, kind of nuzzle my neck. And because we can't trim her claws, she's a monster. My shoulders look like I've been to a bondage club or something. They just cut to shreds with her claws kneading me all through, you know, as she's getting her purring recharge. So it's incredibly sweet and incredibly hard to sleep.
Maybe get some shoulder pads.
You are all about the pads. Knee pads, shoulder pads, photographer knee pads,
Hey,
cat.
if you had
Give it a rest.
some
Someone
pads,
else.
like, maybe you wouldn't.
Take it offline. Some industrious person in the room is going to go and make these for us. Okay, so I think that's pretty much our questions. So let's get back to the pictures. Reminder, next week we have the theme is frames. So finding interesting frames. This could potentially be a frame. It's been shot through a dirty old window in an abandoned house. Well, you actually can't see it, but the last one that we just looked at. Okay, so just send in any other questions that you guys have and we will get back to them. So this is the one I was saying could potentially be frames. As we go through, I'll try to point out any others that's the case. So, David Rees, yes, this bike has long been abandoned and stolen from. So you got the center
Kind of sad.
I can see what you're going for with all of the, you've got the vertical kind of horizontal lines and then all of the diagonals and curvy ones. It makes just for an interesting graphic shape. I'm not sure if this is the best angle on it or not. Having not been there, it's kind of hard to tell how busy the background was and stuff, but having only half the bike in focus, I wonder if actually going in closer to just focus, to just have half the bike be your subject might have done it. Or, you know, if you want to tell the story of abandoned and discarded and kind of the wasteful consumer culture that we have, would be to get an ultra wide angle lens and shoot this static whilst people are kind of walking past on the footpath, kind of giving it no mind. That could also be a cool way of doing it. But I do think black and white's the way to go on this one. I can see the contrast and the lines that you're going for there. I'm just not sure about the vantage point. Steph, I have got a bike for you. It's a real deal.
I mean, I don't know how to ride a bike, so yeah, sure.
Well, you won't have that problem with this one. You just need to carry it.
Perfect.
What do you think?
Sounds easy enough. I like it though. Pick.
There you go. See, I told you she gets on a Fiesta.
I just like the black and white, and I like it. It's just we don't know how long it's been there, but it's just been picked apart for its parts.
It's such a mystery, such an
sad.
enigma. Wow. Now this one, I don't think it is, but do we still have Adolfo in the room? This kind of, no, it doesn't at all. The building really reminds me of some buildings that are in Lima. Damn it, what's the name of the suburb? I'm blanking. Anyway, but the background, that is not Lima Harbour, that's for sure. Lima doesn't really have a harbour like that. You go first, Steph. Tell me what you think of this building and why you think that the boat shouldn't be there on the left.
I was gonna say, if anything, I think the focal point is the boat, and I feel like it's the skyline. I think the building is just in the way of what's beautiful. Yeah, I feel like there is something here, maybe closer and at a different angle, like, because there's grids on the windows where it should be. It's completely empty inside. I wonder if there's even a floor to it. But yeah, my eyes are just drawn to the boat. Honestly, I just feel like the boat is just very distracting. So maybe just going in closer.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes having a modern element or something there to contrast really works. But I think having the boat touching the building doesn't work. Maybe like the boat's in the distance, kind of it shows the old and new, and that kind of juxtaposition works. I also think it's the time of day. You've got half the building kind of just in shadow. This would be one, it looks like there's a proper road beside it to see, maybe going down, getting a different vantage point, getting a cleaner background, not having the modern bridge poking out of the top. You could make more from it. There you go, Steph. This one's for you.
Haunted.
Doesn't it look like the soldier just is running from the scene of a war crime?
There's puzzle pieces and like it just it's disturbing. I guess these toys were abandoned, so it works.
And
but
it looks like the doll is wearing like a skin mask made from other dolls.
oh no, that's creepy.
Look, this is the kind of shot that I thought we would get more of. These kind of spooky, creepy relic type things. And I actually think this works reasonably well. And you could, if you put this into a modern art museum and gave it a thought-provoking title, having the puzzle and the doll and the soldier and the cutting board in the background, you know, you could make this about some dictatorial regime. Like if this was a photo series of buildings in Chernobyl or something like that, then this would be, you know, quite a powerful shot. I think the green board really helps it. I feel like the color palette on this is really nice, and I'm actually going to give it a pick too, just so Steph has to look at it again. So this one actually, this is the original. Thank you to Carsten. Without having mentioned it to you, I used the cropped one as the cover for this week's show, and this is his actual entrance. Now in his email he mentioned you'll notice teeth on the floor. Where are the teeth? I don't see teeth.
What?
Maybe there's like a denture?
Oh, I see teeth.
Is it bottom right? No, where is it?
Nope, it's right under the table, under the green, the chair with the green on it.
Oh yeah, it looks like they're photoshopped.
It kind of does. It looks too pink.
And the light doesn't match. What's going on? Did you add those in? Because that doesn't look right at all. You're way too pink. Are you here, Carsten? Let us know. That doesn't look right.
Did you leave your own dentures underneath there? Did you abandon them there?
So, I mean, it depends how you approach this stuff. I know and I really am into urban exploring despite my recent mishap with the nail. By the way, any day soon my new shoes arriving, and I think I linked them somewhere. They have a sole and a toe that's not steel, so you can go through airport security and you can hike in them without drudging along in chainmail. But it's meant to be puncture resistant, it's certified and all of that. So hopefully, you know, when I think back to what happened in Thailand, we had my 200 pound plus frame. I was stepping down a step onto the nail, so there was a lot of force going onto that nail. So I don't know if they'll do that much, but it should be enough that it will slow it down significantly. Or that once it punches it and goes into my foot, I just can't pull it back out again. Who knows? Let's see. Fun.
Wow.
Look, I like this. I think it has potential. I think you could maybe have dropped the exposure, though, if you're going to have that rear window, or taken a couple of bracketed shots and combined them. I'm not a huge fan of the HDR look, but some frames where there's just more exposure than a modern camera can capture will benefit from, you know, doing a multiple exposure. And whilst I really like the shadows on the door here on the right, might be actually one of my favorite things in the shot, cropping the chair on the left, I'm not sure about. So either reframing it a little bit to get, you know, maybe you could have stepped to your left to end up with a frame something like that might simplify it a little bit. Just kind of having the door. I wish we had everyone who took these shots in the room to tell us the story of where they found this place, because I'm actually really intrigued with this one. I've fallen down rabbit holes of abandoned cities, towns, buildings so many times, and you know, there's a a forest in, is it Poland, that apparently has like pianos and everything with trees growing through them because all these instruments were abandoned in the forest and the forest just grew around them. I would love to go and see all of that kind of stuff. So I'd love to know where this was as well. But yeah, a little picky pick for this one too. And what about this one, Steph? Do you get abandoned vibes on this one, or the force of nature type vibes?
I feel like this is more of a nature shot, unless like, I don't know, there is a story that this structure here is completely abandoned.
I think
It
that's it.
doesn't
It
look
may be,
that
but it
decrepit.
doesn't look. I mean, it's graffiti, but everything's graffitied.
Yeah. And I feel like, I don't know, the skies and like it just looks a little too unnatural in terms of like the editing. But I do like how you were able to catch all like the lightning. But is this? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe if you had some people running away from it or something, abandoning their homes.
Well, I guess the pier, there used to be a dock or a pier there. That's abandoned and derelict. But yeah, I do think clearly the sky and the lightning is the area of interest in the shot. Abandoned. I guess someone was shearing the sheep and then stepped away, so in a sense it's been left alone. But I honestly don't really.
That's a little messed up.
No, don't worry. It's not like they're not about to take it to slaughter. I don't think that's just to hold it still whilst they shear it. But I don't really get abandoned vibes on this. It's tied, it's tagged, it's just been sheared. I don't know. Maybe as a farmer boy, I don't find it disturbing, but I also don't find it abandoned. What do you think?
I don't really get abandoned from the shot. And personally, I feel like I would crop it from the bottom a little bit.
Yeah, me too. Saying, don't look at me, man.
I think it
I'm naked, man.
I feel like it might be a little too overblown, a tiny bit, but yeah.
Yeah.
I don't feel it's abandoned enough.
Meh. Meh. Two more, and then, no, actually this one, and then we'll come back for questions. So send me your questions, friends. Marcilano. This reminds me a lot of where I went with the model Suki for part of the desert road trip that I did last year out to an old mining area around Joshua Tree in California. So yes, abandoned. This is probably somewhere in the vicinity of 100-year-old mining equipment. I'm just totally guessing, but maybe in the gold rush areas of America. Kind of just feels like a snapshot though. Maybe going in and getting more of a dramatic frame on it, like shooting from one end or the other, focusing on the wheels on the track or the rope at the top, or the lantern is really interesting that's hanging up there. Yeah, definitely abandoned. But yeah, I think it needs something more. And I think the selective color editing that's gone on here is maybe a little heavy-handed as well, trying to bring up the rust. Okay, no other questions, so we're switching. And we're questioning, and we're answering. So, Sean, the Thailand incident did show the models there are pretty tough, or pretty and tough. Glad you've recovered. I would say Pry is lovely and helpful and, well, yeah, pretty, but the tough bit, I don't know. She was actually freaking out. We tried to cover that in the editing, but she did help me yank the nail and plank of wood back out of my foot, which couldn't have been fun for her. So, yes. The funniest thing, because we were shooting for a project for Art New Portraiture, so since I filmed this, the last live show with Steph, I edited that entire shoot. It's actually hilarious. I had forgotten. So during that shoot, I must have interrupted myself mid-speech 10 times to talk to the puppies that were running around, one which later stole her clothing. And I think 8 or 10 times during the shoot, I kept reminding her, watch where you step, there's nails, there's glass, what are you doing? Wait, I'll bring you your shoes, don't walk barefoot, you really should have brought proper shoes, you shouldn't be in flip-flops. And then I was the one who did it. So, yeah, it sucks to be an idiot. Did we have any other questions? Adolfo is in the room. Did he chime in about if that under the right chair, beautiful lighting? Okay, JF, when the Z-mount 200 to 600 comes out, I will decide between it and the 100 to 500. In the meantime, what would you recommend for birding with my Z6 II? I have a 70 to 200 and a 70 to 300. Well, I wouldn't recommend buying something just to wait a couple of months to then buy something else, to be honest. You know, birding is like any form of photography. You may be in your sweet spot with a 70 to 200, or you might be better off with an 800 mil or a 600, 500, 300. I really can't say. If you're finding 300 is too short, then take a look at, you know, what the different options are. Something that is unlikely to get replaced straight up is the 500 PF, and it's a great lens, and adapted is working quite well. I've got one and it's super light, so that could be an option for you. Okay. I don't see any other questions, so thanks to everyone for your chat and feedback on the pictures. It's really good to see. Rodney Anderson, how often do you do these photo reviews? Generally once a week. Hopefully we'll do one around the same time next week, but I'll schedule it soon. I've got to go on location to do a couple of days shooting, which may take in next weekend, so it may be a day earlier. We'll figure it out. But if you go to mattgranger.com/live, that's where we update the next theme, what the cutoff is, and once I've scheduled the next live stream, it'll show you the countdown timer for it there as well, so that's where you can get involved each time. So yes, let's jump back and take a look at the last of our pickies. Mark Saiwan.
This looks like a postcard.
It does, especially because of the border. I have to say I'm never really a fan of borders like that, but so I don't see. Do I see? Let's have a look. Is there a rope?
Doesn't look like it. It's an abandoned boat.
It's an abandoned boat that has 2 perfectly maintained oars on the back of it, though. The fact that it doesn't have a rope, kind of, but to be honest, it doesn't really feel abandoned to me. What do you think? Do you get abandoned vibes from that, Steph?
I kind of do. Plus, I would hate to be on a boat and just be in the middle of nowhere.
You mean
at least you have oars,
8 foot from the shore near a nicely manicured park?
Hey, you never know.
And you do have oars. There's oars on the boat.
I'm just saying. Oh no, I knocked them over. They're in the water. What do I do now?
You probably get out into the knee-high water and walk back to shore. That's what you do.
I don't know.
Let me guess, you can't swim either.
I'm trying to help Mark out. No, I can swim.
Okay, good. Well, there you go. One of the basic things. Check. No bike, can swim. What about those pedal boats that you see that couples ride around that are shaped like swans? So that's technically a bike.
Yeah, those are fun.
Can you do that?
Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah, so you can ride a bike. You can ride water bikes. That's way harder.
Yep. But what?
What? The water is lava.
You have to balance on a bike, but in the water it's already like buoyancy. So
Okay.
yeah.
Marv's. Well, this is kind of interesting. I think you pretty much got the time of day right. Maybe a few minutes earlier you could balance it even better. So then the lighting that's been added isn't quite so obvious. The only thing I'd say is if you could have warmed up the temperature of the light in the building a little bit would have been perfect, but I think it's quite nice.
I actually like it.
I
like how bright it is inside.
I think I've got that cropped a little bit. There we go. Much better. And actually, wider like that, I think it works even better. The contrast is not as pronounced. I'm going to give that a pick. If you're in the room, Marv's, let us know what you did to light up that hut. Sean Vine, Steph, Transforce. Transforce sounds like... No, there's a joke there, but I won't.
Oh God.
It sounds like the people trying to cancel
Abandoned
Dave
tires.
Chappelle.
Oh gosh. I feel like... I guess I wanted more greenery to like pop out in between the tires to show that it's been abandoned for much longer. I feel like there's a shot here. I'm just not sure where.
Agree. Maybe...
Because I like the bottom tire that you could kind of see the, what is that, Astercraft. Like
Oh,
how
yeah.
it's like angled upwards. I don't know why are these tires, whatever. But I also like going in closer to the other ones with like the greenery.
Maybe his
There's a shot
framing was
there.
just because Astercraft and Transforce sounds like two really funny names.
If so, then that's awesome.
Yeah, if so, Sean,
Yeah,
well played, sir.
yeah. Pretty good.
Oh, Emil,
Astercraft.
it's like Astermouth, but Astercraft. Tor Emil Isaacson, I like that. It looks like Scandinavian 1970s, and it's all covered in snow. Is that snow?
Oh, and frame.
Yeah, big time framing. You can just enter this one again next week. And the paint, the mottled wall there. The only thing, you might bring the exposure down of the front wall just a little bit. I think that could overall help, but I think that's cool. And it satisfies this week and next week's themes. So nicely done, Tor. Too late, already picked it. Pretty sure I did. Let me re-pick it.
Oh.
Yeah, pick. I'll let you have first dibs on this one, Steph. Wolfgang Arnish.
Oh, haunted.
Why?
I don't know why. It's just black and white. It's wood, and at first I thought there was like a cat in there, but nope. It's just all wood. I guess this could have been a treehouse, but for some reason I think it's just the perspective. It kind of gives me that creepy like feel of it. That there's just nothing in there. But I like it. I like the lighting.
Sometimes
and
when
I
I
like
hear you talk about woo, I also think, there's nothing in there.
I don't know. It's just I'm curious. Is there anything in there?
Ooh, Wolfgang, what a mystery. Please let us know.
Ghost in there.
Wowza. Stephanie Pham, everyone. She's here all week. Up, and last one, I think, is Yenra.
Wait a minute.
What?
I recognize her.
Really?
Yenra, are you in the room? Is that Jasmine? I've met this model before.
Oh, really? I I
Yeah.
did see the name. Oh, not the Jasmine that I work with.
No, it's a different Jasmine. I met her on a shoot like long, 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 long time ago.
Yeah, I did see a Yenra in the chat, I think. He was the one who spotted the teeth under the chair.
Ah,
I think the backlighting on Steph's old friend is maybe a little bit too harsh. You can comment on the posing and all of that kind of thing. I don't know, the brick wall, it's definitely dilapidated, but having someone there and posing there doesn't, I don't know, well, I was going to say it doesn't feel deserted if you've got a model there, but then I'm doing shoots of models in abandoned places and I still feel that they have an abandoned vibe to them, so that doesn't even make sense. What do you think, Steph? And give your friend
I
a shout out.
feel like I feel like if you actually brought this in and kind of like kept the edge of the bricks, it could also work for like the frame theme for next week. But yeah, I think the backlighting is like too bright. Don't really. I feel like if you were on the opposite side, maybe inside of the building, it might feel more abandoned rather than seeing like I guess the nature part of like the left side, which I think is also too much space. And I'm pretty damn sure that's Jasmine. I recognize her. And I
Jasmine
know she has
Jolly?
better poses than this. Yes.
Yes, well, Yenra just said that in the chat.
But yeah, I know she has better poses than this, so you might want to check the other photos that you have of her.
Okay.
But,
Yeah, I do think
yeah.
it fits abandoned, but I agree with all of Steph has said. So maybe bringing the power of the flash down, balancing out the light in the scene a bit more, bringing the crop in a little, and then the pose looks a little bit dramatic. A little bit too dramatic.
Yeah.
Shall we jump back to questions, or what do we have? We don't have that many, so keep sending in your questions, and we'll actually just go through and choose out some winners. Winner, chicken dinners.
Yay.
Okay. Flagged. Okay, so the ones that I have flagged were Darren Melrose, David Rees, Jay Frandano, Karsten Larson, Marvs, and Tor. And I can pretty quickly get it down to there's three that I would put as definite front runners. But let's just choose one each and do it like that, or should we just give all three?
Okay. We can do that. Or yeah, we could just give all three.
What do
Make it
you
easier, honestly.
What do you guys in the room think? Well, what's your number one, Steph? Because maybe your number one won't be in my three.
I want to say Tor, Emil, the snowy frame inside, that one.
You know, it's really funny. So I agree. That was actually probably, if not my first, right up there. If it were a boring subject or off theme, you could say this is kind of a snapshot. I do think it would benefit from better editing, but it's, well visualized, really carefully framed, or really good luck, but it's come together in a way that really works so well. I think if you edited this up, this is actually something I would print and hang. I find it really interesting. So I really like that one. I also like this one from Marvs. And
That's my second.
Darren Melrose as well. The spooky.
That was my third.
There you go. So I'm thinking we're probably in the majority today with those final choices. So I'll get in touch so all three of you can have the joint honors this week and download of your choice. So congratulations and thank you to everyone who entered as well. Reminder, next week is the theme Framed, which Tor has absolutely nailed, so don't enter the same shot twice, please. And get them in. It'll most likely be, I think we'll probably do the live show a day earlier if that works for Steph as well. So that would be Friday morning where I am and Thursday evening for the States and Europe. So get involved. And last questions. I don't see any more new ones coming through. Matt, I have the Nikon D5100 and it's been used hard. What would I suggest is a decent Nikon at a lower price? I'd be happy to help you out, mate, but as I've said in the past, the best way to get, well, it's the same process to figure it out for yourself or to ask me, would be to write down a list of what it is that you're looking for, what kind of features you need, what are must-haves, what would be nice to haves, what's your budget, and then take a look at what's on the market that, you know, where's the overlap in that Venn diagram, and then I'm happy to give feedback on that. But when, you know, you said you don't have unlimited money to spend, I don't know if that means $200, $500, or $1,000, and I don't know what are the options you're considering. So if you let me know that, I'll be happy to give some feedback. Marv saying he used a flash to light up the inside of the abandoned home. Makes sense. I don't know if you were here when we were talking about it before. No, you were late to arrive. Really liked the shot, but I probably would have warmed up the light in there just a little bit. I think that would help balance it out better because it's kind of, you can tell that it was an artificial light source in there. Great. Thank you for all the feedback and interaction this week, folks. I think a nice tight hour is long enough for this show. I didn't mention it earlier, but those who are still watching, stay tuned. In the next, I hope, week or so, I'm going to have a new course coming online that has actually been filmed over like 18 months. It's got Steph and Johanna and local faces here from Hong Kong, which is, I won't give away the theme yet, but it'll be useful whether you're shooting people or landscapes or macros or whatever you are, about how to evaluate options and find where's the best place and what's the best frame to choose among all of the limitless options that you have when you're shooting. So something different, and I hope going to be really helpful for people to help encourage you to see things in a more creative way. So thank you everyone, 30 Day Sean, Adolfo, who's this art school dropouts? They just don't stop typing. Marvs, Ranger Ron, everyone who joined us for today, everyone who submitted shots. Please get involved. You see where we try to be friendly and gentle, so please get your shots in for next week. It's great to have a variety of entrants. And we will see you guys soon. If you're not already, head to mattgranger.com or learn.mattgranger.com. Sign up for the mailing list because that's where I will have first news about the new course coming out, and I always put them up as a really special deal for subscribers first, so don't miss out.
Thumbs up the video, guys.
Yes, I really would like to see the channel grow. I'm kind of sick and over the please like and smash the like button and ding the bell and the part of
the job.
But it would be great if you could do that stuff. I heard some people in the chat today saying they didn't get a notification, so making sure that you've got all of that enabled helps us and you if you want to catch our content. So thank you, Steph. Have a great weekend. Go say hi to hubby.
Glad you're back home.
Thanks, mate. And I'll talk to you.
Give the cats a squeeze.
I'll give Loki one. I don't want to get cut by Tyson, though. And likewise,
okay.
lady,
You're
give
right.
her a calm, distanced pat for me.
I will.
All right. Take care.
All right.
See you, everyone.
Bye,
Have a great weekend.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.